5 trillion rupees of debt is publicly recognized as stressed, but a substantial proportion of 6.7 trillion rupees is at elevated risk of refinancing. Entities in this category are solvent and may be able to raise financing with additional collateral. They, however, remain exposed to downside risks in the event of liquidity stress and or escalation in risk aversion by banks. Out of the total refinancing requirement of 2.1 trillion rupees in FY17, ERR category entities would need 688 billion rupees and stressed another 688 billion. On the other hand, those in the high to medium ease of financing categories have refinancing requirements of 153 billion rupees and 557 billion respectively. The requirements are concentrated with 50 of the borrowers contributing to 63% of the refinancing amount. The stressed category has a preponderance of debt, almost 75% of the category debt belonging to the infrastructure, metals and mining and cement sector. The ERR category has power, infrastructure, metals and mining, shipping, consumer durables, real estate and textile contributing to almost 70% of the total category debt. The HER and the MER categories, on the other hand, have a preponderance of debt with auto and auto suppliers, chemicals, telecom, oil and gas, pharmaceuticals, and diversified entities, besides the relatively better placed entities in the infra, power, and metal space. Our analysis highlights the concentration of risks and the bipolarization of Indian corporates. The capital intensive and commodity linked sectors are primarily in the stressed and ERR categories and would continue to be a risk to creditors during the course of FY17. On the other hand, the consumption and low leverage sectors are primarily in the HER and MER categories and would continue to gain traction. We have also highlighted the competitive advantage of capital intensive and commodity entities in the high to medium ease of financing category who would gain market shares at the expense of those in the stressed and ERR categories, as demand exhibits slow but marginal improvement over the next 2 years. Having said that, while it's a general belief that stress in the system has by and large been identified but not fully provided for as yet, additional stress could emanate from the ERR category. Our refinancing report published for the top 100 borrowers in January 2014 provided an early warning signal on the likely performance of corporate India in financial year 2015 and 16. Out of the 20 entities identified in the ERR category, 90% have either remained in the ERR category or have become stressed, many of them moving back to ERR post a dose of restructuring. The report has now been expanded to top 500 borrowers, and the categorizations will provide an added input to banks and investors in their credit decisions. The report addresses the two often asked questions by investors: what is the extent of stress in corporate balance sheets? And secondly, has all of it been identified and recognized? And if not, where could additional stress emanate from during the course of FY17? To answer these, we analyzed the top 500 corporate borrowers, excluding banks, NBFCs, and PSUs, which have approximately 28 trillion rupees of borrowings, and assess the extent of refinancing risk each one of the entities is exposed to. Based on an analysis of financial parameters and trends with plausible assumptions for FY17, collateral analysis including pledge of shares and sponsor support, if any, each entity has been bucketed in one of the four categories, therefore in the high risk of refinancing, medium ease of refinancing, the elevated risk of refinancing, and the stressed category. The stressed categories are those which are already recognized as such by a rating agency.